On the 4th of July 2022, Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation opened applications for the 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge. The 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge aimed at empowering nonprofits, social enterprises, and businesses in Africa that leverage technology and digital tools to create social change within their communities. After careful assessment by a team of seasoned judges, 10 finalists emerged. At the 6th Breakfast Dialogue and 5th anniversary of ACT Foundation, 5 organizations emerged as winners.
Let's give it up for the 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge. Nafam Foods from Nigeria. Congratulations.
In the past year, with support received from ACT Foundation and our donor partners, Nafam Foods provided capacity training and technical support to 1,400 farmers in cottage processing across northern Nigeria. Mobi Clinic provided over 1,000 residents across communities in Uganda with remote health delivery services. Black Umbrella supported over 400 SMEs in South Africa through its virtual incubator initiative. In Nigeria, Dynalim Nigeria provided 3D integration of prosthetic and orthotic devices to over 100 persons living with disabilities in southwest Nigeria. An Health Emergency Initiative trained over 40 students in pre-medical emergency response.
I think the biggest success is being able to implement our new programs. We have been working on them for the last year, and the biggest thing was being able to digitize them and be able to continue that entrepreneurial journey that we started on a digital platform throughout. So ACT Foundation has really allowed us to be able to do that, but also the platform then allows us to reach more beneficiaries.
The 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge Impact Story is hinged on the support received from our esteemed partners, including Access Bank, IHS Towers, an organization working to advance global communication and ensure seamless connectivity for millions, Lagos Business School, and Veraki.
With the help of ACT Foundation making it to top 10 for the CIC challenge, and also with their collaborative partnership with Veraki Africa. So we've been able to understand how we would align our vision and mission to meet the work we do, and also in terms of structure in the organization, we've been able to, through their support in terms of capacity from what we've done so far, we've been able to practically align what we do and to tell better stories with what we do as well.
I think some of the support that we've received from the ACT Foundation, apart from the innovation challenge that we won for some of our innovations, also it includes the MPLM program, it's the Lagos Business School, which typically has been a mode of training and then improvement to build capacity of our staffs at the co-creation hub.
Since its inception, the Changemakers Innovation Challenge has helped dozens of organizations scale up impact using innovative solutions in various African communities. And we are not relenting as we commit to impact the continent one community at a time.
Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation is tackling Africa's challenges one non-profit at a time. The numbers are staggering but real, ranging from health to entrepreneurship, leadership, and the environment. The impact has been far-reaching, touching lives in all 36 states of the Nigerian Federation and 8 other countries in Africa, and it's taking 5 years. When ACT Foundation took off in 2016, we leveraged relationships to create compelling social impact solutions across Africa by supporting initiatives capable of unleashing beneficiaries' potential towards building sustainable African societies through a combination of grant making, enterprise interventions, innovation challenges, support programs, guided conversations, and philanthropy. ACT Foundation has ramped up social impact in accelerated fashion, leaving a long trail of social influence in its wake. At ACT Foundation, we seek to promote broad-based participation and partnership with other institutions and organizations aimed at building sustainable communities that provide innovative solutions to social, economic, and environmental challenges. ACT Foundation is guided by the principles of communal support that is practiced for generations in Africa. Across the shores of Africa, we have gone the extra mile to inspire numerous people to dream big and to make a significant difference in their environment. The success of our exploits can be confirmed by the countless lives we have touched and the communities we have impacted across Africa. Over the last 5 years, ACT Foundation has been generating social impact in African communities, and we are motivated to do more.
Hello everyone, my name is Josiah and I'm the CEO of Aspire Coalition Trust Foundation, ACT Foundation. ACT is celebrating 5 years of social impact. I am excited and truly thrilled and proud about our remarkable journey as an African indigenous grant-making organization. Our accomplishments over the last 5 years remain phenomenal to me, the board, and the rest of our foundation. Being able to positively impact over 811 communities in Africa by promoting initiatives across focus areas through grants, through networking and capacity strengthening. So as ACT celebrates 5 years, I would like to say congratulations to you, to me, and to everyone at ACT Foundation. It's been an amazing, wonderful experience providing solutions and achieving sustainable development for Africa.
On the 4th of July 2022, Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation opened applications for the 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge. The 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge aimed at empowering nonprofits, social enterprises, and businesses in Africa that leverage technology and digital tools to create social change within their communities. After careful assessment by a team of seasoned judges, 10 finalists emerged. At the 6th Breakfast Dialogue and 5th anniversary of ACT Foundation, 5 organizations emerged as winners.
Let's give it up for the 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge. NAFAM Foods from Nigeria. Congratulations.
In the past year, with support received from ACT Foundation and our donor partners, NAFAM Foods provided capacity training and technical support to 1,400 farmers in cottage processing across northern Nigeria. Mobi Clinic provided over 1,000 residents across communities in Uganda with remote health delivery services. Black Umbrella supported over 400 SMEs in South Africa through its virtual incubator initiative. In Nigeria, Dynalim Nigeria provided 3D integration of prosthetic and orthotic devices to over 100 persons living with disabilities in southwest Nigeria. And Health Emergency Initiative trained over 40 students in pre-medical emergency response.
I think the biggest success is being able to implement our new programs. We have been working on them for the last year, and the biggest thing was being able to digitize them and be able to continue that entrepreneurial journey that we started on a digital platform throughout. So Act Foundation has really allowed us to be able to do that, but also the platform then allows us to reach more beneficiaries.
The 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge Impact Story is hinged on the support received from our esteemed partners, including Access Bank, IHS Towers, an organization working to advance global communication and ensure seamless connectivity for millions, Lagos Business School, and Veraki.
With the help of Act Foundation making it to top 10 for the CIC challenge, and also with their collaborative partnership with Veraki Africa. So we've been able to understand how we would align our vision and mission to meet the work we do, and also in terms of structure in the organization, we've been able to, through their support in terms of capacity from what we've done so far, we've been able to practically align what we do and to tell better stories with what we do as well.
I think some of the support that we've received from the Foundation, apart from the innovation challenge that we won for some of our innovations, also it includes the MPLM program with the Lagos Business School, which typically has been a mode of training and then improvement to build capacity of our staffs at the Co-Creation Hub.
Since its inception, the Changemakers Innovation Challenge has helped dozens of organizations scale up impact using innovative solutions in various African communities. And we are not relenting as we commit to impact the continent one community at a time.
Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Can I have your good mornings in the chat room?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning from Nigeria. My name is Abiodun Owo. I'm the programs manager here at Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. We would like to say thank you very much for making our time to come in for this very important training session, of course, organized just for you, yes, nonprofits, social enterprises across Africa. If you do not mind, you can just quickly say hello to your neighbor in the chat room. Tell us where you're joining us from. I am here live in Lagos, Nigeria. Where are you joining us from? Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Blessing. All right, Akosua is joining us from Ghana. Akwaba, I hope I got that right. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Blessing is joining us from Abuja here in Nigeria. Thank you. Okay, Chema, thank you. Chema is here in Lagos. Christopher is joining us from Calabar. Okay. Okay, Agnes is joining us from Lagos. Please keep it coming. Babajide, you're welcome, joining us from Lagos. Fatima is joining us from Niger State, Mina to be precise. You're welcome, Fatima. Hi, Tara, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Blessed. All right, Tara is also joining us from Ghana, Akwaba. Yeah, please keep it coming. Thank you, Adiwali, for joining us from Lagos. All right, okay. While we await others to keep joining us, we'll quickly go through a few rules and some housekeeping. So once you join us, please mute your mics. If you can rename yourself with your name and organization just to give us an idea of where you're joining us from. Later on, after our session, of course, we'll have a session for questions. So you can use the chat room for that. If you have questions or if you have comments, you'll be able to use the chat room for that. So for you to gain, of course, optimum knowledge from this session, we expect that you participate actively. So as much as possible, please avoid multitasking. We know, yes, you have a very busy day, but then we can assure you that in the next 2 hours, you'll be out of here enriched with information on effective impact assessments. In the course of the session, we'll be having a poll. We'll encourage you to please fill it to give us an idea of where we're going. And then at the end of the session, there'll be a survey for you to fill. This is necessary for you to provide feedback for us so that we get better and better at what we do. So we please encourage you to fill the survey at the end of the session. So once you log out, the survey will pop up and then you'll be able to fill the survey. Okay, all right, just so that, we cool off, calm down a bit before we bring on our speaker, let's, break some ice. So in the chat room, please tell us, how are you doing today? I am doing great. It didn't rain today. It rained heavily yesterday, but then the weather is cool over here in Lagos. How are you doing today? Please tell me in the chat room. How are you doing? All right, I am waiting. I do hope that people can hear me though. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can hear you
Awesome.
loud and clear.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, Isaiah is great. It's cool in Ibadan. Akoswa said he's doing well today. Thank you. That's good to hear. Yes, please go ahead. How are you doing today? Victor says it's bright and beautiful in Calabar. Okay. Ibukun Ajaybe says she feels good today. Christine says she's doing great. The weather is cool today. We give glory to God for that. Benjamin Olorunfemi is doing great. This is so good to hear that every one of us is doing great. Hawawu says she's good. Thank you. Athena Jeje says, today looks great. And yes, it is going to be just that. Keep it coming. Yeah, Tamuno Belema. I hope I didn't murder your name. I am doing very good. That is great to hear. Okay, I will move on to the next question. So, Early morning, noon, afternoon, evening, what part of the day are you most active? Would you like to tell us? What part of the day are you most active? Is it early morning? Are you an early bird? Is it afternoon? Is it just noon? Is it evening? I think I am most active shortly after noon. My mornings can sometimes be dragged, except I know I have something to deliver, of course. Okay, Ridwan says noon. Akoswa says morning. Okay. Early morning, 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Okay. Christian says shortly before noon. Abimbola says she's a morning person. He or she is a morning person. All right. Okay, we have a couple of morning persons here. Oh, mine from afternoon, Adewale. Folashade says she's a morning person. All right, so we can be assured that like 95% of us will be very, very active this morning. That's great to hear. All right, so to our final question, what are you looking forward to getting from this training session? So these have been put together for us to discuss impact assessments. And we said, and the writer says, beyond the numbers. So what do you expect to learn from this training session? Yeah, so this is a good time to type in the chat box. What do you expect to get from this training session on impact assessment, impact measurements, impact reporting, and so on and so forth? Yeah, I'll give you a minute to think. Yes. Okay, new ways of measuring impact. All right, Esosa says innovative ways to measure impact. All right. Please go ahead. I hope to get knowledgeably equipped to measure impact. Okay. Unique approaches to impact measurement given its multifaceted dimension. Right. And new approaches of measuring impact. Okay, I'm very, very certain that our speaker, yes, is here to give you nuggets on that. Best practices in measuring impact. Okay, to learn the global standard of impact measurement. Yes, for certain you learn that. Eunice says to improve on my personal skill and add more value to myself. Okay, that's good to hear. How to measure impact beyond just the number. Yes, yes. Trust me, we have a seasoned trader who is going to be taking us on that. All right, any more? Once you come in, please mute your mics so that we don't have infiltration. Thank you. Blessing says she wants to learn to measure impact and more knowledge on non-profits. All right. We can assure you that you'll go away with that knowledge. Yes. So we take one more and then move on to the next thing. One more. Okay, Israel says, Peter rather says, I expect to learn how to measure long-term impacts. Most assessments are usually short to medium term. All right. Okay, we can assure you that you will learn that. All right. So shortly, we'll take a quick poll. And once the poll comes up on your screen, please fill it and then we'll move on to the next session quickly.
All right. Good morning, everyone. All right, so I'll just take us through our poll. Please, the poll will pop up on your screen. Yeah, okay. Please give me a moment. Network. Okay. Yeah. So you should have the poll on your screen right now. First question is, how confident are you in your organization's current impact measurement practices? Please confirm to me that you can see the poll on your screen, please. Yes, we can. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you. I can see confirmation. Okay, I can see people already filling. Okay, I can see people already filling. So how confident are you? I can see moderately confident. I can see neutral. I can see somewhat uncertain. Okay. We have about 8% of our respondents saying they are highly confident. Okay. The next question, how often does the organization report its impact to stakeholders or donors or funders? Okay. I can see 22% of respondents says monthly, 26% says quarterly, 11% says biannually. Great. All right. I think the third question. Okay, someone can say she can't see the poll. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. That could be your network. So the next one is, what is the biggest challenge your organization faces in the impacts? Okay, I can see 32% say lack of resources, time, money, and personnel. About 20% are saying difficulty in data collection. Maybe is your mic on? Is your mic on? Okay. All right. I'll be taking down the poll shortly. I'll just see if we can get more response. We have about 94 participants here. I only have 64 people who responded. Please try and ensure you fill the poll. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think we've had enough time to fill the poll. Thank you very much for your participation. Over to you, Abiodun.
Okay, thanks again, Temitope. I think that was insightful. I could see that 40% of people said that they are moderately confident in terms of their current impact measurement practices. We hope that at the end of this session, you move up to the pool of the highly confident ones. Yeah, so thank you very much for that. So in a bit, we're going to be having our speaker. Did I mention that we have a very, very distinguished speaker in our midst today who is going to be talking about impact measurement. But before we get to her session, we would like to talk about Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. And to do that, we have our head of grants and programs who will welcome us and then tell us about ACT Foundation in a few minutes. Over to you, Ugochukwu.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Abiodun and Temitope. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, please confirm if you can see. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you once again. Welcome to one of our series of I call it conversations, where we come together to try to learn together. Thank you for everyone who has participated in the polls. That's quite insightful. Like Biodun mentioned, my name is Ugochukwu, so I head programs and grants here at Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. I want to welcome everyone today on behalf of my CEO, Sai Ali, who unfortunately would have loved to make part of this welcome, but she is in transit, but she is with us in spirit. So I will just quickly go ahead to do our usual ritual of telling you about Aspire Coronation Trust Foundation. For those who are joining us for the first time, this will be an opportunity for you to actually understand what we do and why we are doing what we are doing. For those who have heard this so many times, please understand with us and find something that you haven't learned all this while in our presentation to pick up today. So, Quick Focus, we are an Africa-focused organization who are continually striving to grow the non-profit ecosystem across Africa. through our various activities, of which a major one of them is grant making and, of course, building capacity of local nonprofits. If you also look through, you will see that we are intentional about our grants. Our grants mostly try to empower local nonprofits who otherwise might not have the opportunity to play in all the big leagues. And secondly, as well, for those who have been able to access our grants, you notice that we provide capacity building and support with implementation throughout the journey. And now, we work in 4 focus areas: health, environment, entrepreneurship, and leadership. And we do this with the vision that we want to leverage relationships to create effective social impact and solutions across Africa, right? Like I mentioned before, we're on a mission to build sustainable societies by engaging initiatives that unleash potentials and empower our beneficiaries. And on the baseline of all of this is enabled by technology. For those of you who have applied for our grants in the past or who apply for anything, you will realize that we have launched a brand new platform for submitting and managing our grants. We're also very, very strong in diversity. We intentionally make sure that our grants and our engagements always look at diversity. So we are one of the few nonprofits who have women making up more than 50% of our leadership. And of course, we look at partnership. We also look at financing nonprofits. So, as you would see, we are focusing. This slide shows you how our focus areas are trying to achieve the SDGs. And so we are very, very intentional about addressing this 9 points of the SDG that we've listed here. And here are some of our core values, which you will see in every ACT employee or whatever we are doing. Accountability, we are very, very keen on accountability. For those of us who have worked with us, you will see that we don't joke with our numbers or our timelines and when things needs to happen. Of course, partnerships, because I mean, you can't work by yourself. We're impact driven, which means that everything we do continually drives impact, measurable impact. And of course, we try to operate with excellence. And now, like I mentioned before, in some ways we work through grant making, capacity building, partnerships, research, and thought leadership. Just a quick overview of what we have done so far since 2016 that we came around. As of our last grant making cycle, we had about 1,800 applications and screened about 300 plus at the end of the day. You notice across the line that every other year we make between the least we've made is 18 and the maximum we've made is 28. So we make between 18 and 28 grants across all the different focus areas. Okay, so usually also, aside from our grants making, we also have what we call Changemakers Innovation Challenge, which, by the way, is currently ongoing and it's closing tomorrow. It's our way of recognizing and rewarding and also positioning organizations that are using technology to do social good. So if you know someone who is doing this, please do well to inform them to put in their application. And we don't just recognize and award them, we also work with them for the next 12 years, both to either help them look for funding or look for other partners. And of course, as part of our thought leadership, we do breakfast dialogue, which is every year we bring stakeholders together to discuss how the sector can function better. We also, for this year, we are trying to help government and for-profit organizations understand the non-profit space. So we're focusing on collaborative leadership. So we expect that this is going to happen, and on the 10th of October 2024, so look out for our invitation. And for nonprofits that are just coming up, we have actually developed a series of guidebooks. You can see the books. There's one for measuring impact, sustaining them, operating, and starting. So basically, the steps you need to set up a functional and proper nonprofit organization. I think towards the end, the team would put up the links where you can find these books. And then, of course, we're also big on research because you can't work in a space where you do not find out why you're doing what you're doing. So from time to time, we commission studies that will help not just us, but other organizations who want to run across Africa. Our impact in numbers, basically, we have run such capacity building and training sessions. We have run over 30 of them so far, reached about 5,000 people through our breakfast dialogue, published 6 research products, of which it's going to be about 8 at the end of this year. And then we have also supported 17 technology-based projects through our Changemakers Innovation Challenge. And if you've heard of our ACPOD, which is where we bring in stakeholders to come and discuss, just share their view. If you haven't listened to any of this episode, look out for the link at the end of this session, and you will be very glad that you did. So generally, in numbers, we've done 2.9 million plus direct beneficiaries across 12 countries in Africa and in about 1,200 communities. We're working in 36 states in Nigeria. Every other time, we've worked with over 98 nonprofit organizations across Africa. And as you can see, our health portfolio is the largest, followed by entrepreneurship and the others. So just a bit of a gallery of the things that we have done so far. Please, if you have any questions about what ACT does, please reach out to Abiodun either by through chat or the email contact that they are going to share. And now moving to the big one and why all of us are here today. Of course, you can reach us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course, our official website. So I know, I hope I haven't taken too much time to drag us through the very beautiful things that ACT is doing. So
you're doing just great.
To the moment that most of us are waiting for, we had to go and dish and find someone who could best discuss the topic of the day. And most times people come in when we say how to get funding, and I always tell every nonprofit person that your proposals are not the reason you're getting funding. It is the things you do before your proposal that makes you get funding, and it is the things that you do throughout the year. So if you're targeting a particular person for funding now, you have to start working now. And what is the best way to start working now? Knowing what to collect, knowing how to put them together, knowing how to communicate those things that you have collected. If you do not know how to do all of this, you will write proposals from now till tomorrow and nobody will listen to you. People love numbers. I mean, some of us remember doing last a particular candidate kept dishing numbers and people loved listening to that. Now, but for within this sector, for before anybody's going to give you money, they want to look at your numbers. They want you to be able to be convincing with the numbers you're showing and how you're collecting them. So, and it gives me pleasure to actually introduce no other than Etemore Glover. I hope I got the pronunciation well. The CEO of Impact Investors Foundation. Etemore is an impact investor, a philanthropist, and a serial entrepreneur. She's a problem solver and learning and development strategist, and a trainer with extensive experience in capacity building programs for youth, program evaluation, budgeting, fundraising, leadership, NGO management, consultancy, research, finance, and impact investing. Wow. So She's an MSME consultant with over 10 years of experience setting up and running startups. She's a fellow of African Venture Philanthropy Alliance, a graduate of Side Business School, University of Oxford, and an associate member of the Learning and Development Network International. She was a double honors in economics and education from Mount Bello University, Zaria, and a master's in business administration from the University of Leicester. She's the CEO of Impact Investors Foundation, the nonprofit founded in partnership with Ford Foundation, Africa Alliance, Business Day Limited, Bank of Industry, and Dalbag Advisors. Etemore, you're welcome to our knowledge series. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ogochukwu, for that warm welcome. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, good evening from whatever time zone that you are joining this call. That introduction was very warm. I would like to share my screen, if that's okay with you, so that we can just jump into the matter of the day. I'm particularly excited to see the mix or the diverse audience here today, from people who have a good experience of impact measurement and management, to those who are doing impact measurement and management monthly, quarterly, whatever, it's diverse. So this session, we will answer some of your questions that you've been asking around impact measurement and management, moving from numbers to actually reporting your changes. So we're going to be using a very robust tool, SDG Impact Standards, to enable you incorporate the SDGs and impacts into your internal decision-making processes. And that tool helps you get data, information, insights to help you to report your impact using any of the international framework or formats for reporting, like the GRI, the new ISSB, and so many others. So let's just jump right in. I've already been introduced, so I'll go to the preambles, and this is where I'll just want to set, the stage for today's conversation. Many of these things, have been mentioned. I'm not going to go through all of this because we've done all of that. Many of the conversations we've had today was hinged around the SDG and achieving the SDGs. So maybe in the chat box, I'd like to know which of the SDGs the organization is, building its model around. Which of the SDGs are you achieving? So today I'm going to introduce you to the impact measurement and management framework using the impact standard, the SDG impact standard, and we'll look at the 12 enterprise actions that will tell you specific actions that you can carry out to incorporate impact investment, to incorporate IMM into your internal strategies. We'll look at best practices. I want to, at the end of today's session, help you to think, where are you in terms of managing and reporting your impact? I would also want you to feel that it is achievable and to take specific actions. So part of what I've been asked to do today is to help define what impact is, look at the IMM, look at practices, reporting, identify some barriers, and also conclusions that would help you take these actions. But please bear at the back of your mind that today is just very introductory, very light, but we'll cover impact measurements, theory, and techniques in depth, but we are not going to go in depth into reporting and other practices like sustainability. So while I'm speaking, I want people to please put in the chat box what you understand by sustainability, right? We've heard that term, sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. What is sustainability? What is the SDG? What is impact? Take a moment, put that in while I look through some of the SDGs some of you are already achieving. Great. I can see SDG 16, UFOMA, thank you. SDG 13, SDG 1, 4, 5, and 8, Fumilayo, fantastic. I'm seeing SDG 4 and 11, 158, Bossed Day 3 and 4. Agnes, SDG 8 and gender equality, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm seeing definition for sustainability. All right. Sustainability lasting beyond the particular project period. That's Fumilayo. Victoria, sustainability has to do with long-term. Fantastic. I like the fact that you already have an idea of what sustainability is. So we'll just jump straight into the conversation. So we all agree that sustainability has to do with long-term value creation. Am I correct? Is it okay for people to unmute and speak? Is it all right? Let me take permission from the host. I don't like to speak too much. Thank you very much. So I'll just call people, if you don't mind, to just maybe add to the color. I won't want to hear my voice only. Yes, I like the fact that people are mentioning long-term value creation about sustainability. And from this definition and UNDP's perspective to sustainability, there are three aspects to sustainability that we must consider in terms of how we create long-term value. Long-term value has to do with making sure your intervention has an impact, social impact on the society. Sustainability also speaks to economic value creation on the beneficiaries of your intervention. And finally, sustainability has to do with creating environmental value. So there is no long-term value creation without these three pillars of sustainability, thereby guaranteeing future generations' need will be met without depleting resources for this generation. It talks about responsible way of doing things, whether you're an enterprise, whether you're a non-profit organization, you're an investor, we need to think long-term. And this leads us to SDGs. So give us a definition of what SDG is and how you are identifying what SDGs to incorporate into your eternal business strategy, your enterprise strategy. Can somebody just try? You can lift your hand up and I'll call you. I'm looking through. If nobody puts up his or her hand, I'll call someone. All right, Samira Farouk. Can I invite you? What you mentioned the SDG that your organization is focusing on. Tell us why that is important to your organization.
Okay, for us at Serendipity, the SDG goals are actually what I would call change makers in the society in all aspects of what makes us who we are, because it covers aspects of the climate, which is the environment, in terms of health, in terms of knowledge management, in terms of education, in terms of being self-sustaining, i.e. entrepreneurship and all of that. So for me, the SDG definition of the SDG is actually an all-encompassing method which would cover all aspects of life as we know it, which is like in the sea, not only us humans as well, but our animals and conservation of the diversity we have. And so for me, in our organization, the SDG goals are very important because it has a change effect on how we have been doing and what is the way forward in terms of using technology, making our lives better, in terms of how, let me put it in one nutshell, mixing the old with the new to be able to have a better life. And so for me, that's basically what I feel the SDG goals are meant to do, that have been decided that this is how we're going to move ahead going forward as NGOs. And so in terms of impact assessment, I know it's very difficult because there are some assessments that you cannot quantify in terms of numbers, but in also in terms of maybe how the intervention has been done,
The changes
that has changed the lives, behavioral, exactly. So that's for me the definition and all.
Thank you, Samira. Thank you. I really liked how you talked about the SDGs, and to just maybe speak to it, there are 17 indivisible, interconnected goals. So you can't achieve one without the other. It impacts on everything that has, I mean, all aspects of life, like you said. And you know, countries have identified these goals, that we must achieve these goals by 2030. And as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are behind. So we need to come to the fore in terms of ramping resources, supporting enterprises, NGO in achieving the SDGs. So you as an NGO, designing your internal business model, your model around this SDGs enables you to achieve them. And that's the heart of the matter. You know, talk about the SDGs, you cannot remove the impact that it's having on you and I, on people. So irrespective of the intervention you are doing, the heart of it, you must make sure you do your due diligence to protect the rights of all your stakeholders. One cannot be done without the other. So now, this is where I think I would like us to dwell on from the rest of today's conversation, because this conversation around impact has been misunderstood in how we gather data to show that we are making impact and how we are reporting impact. So who wants to try? I saw a hand up. What is impact to you? How do you define impact? Let me go to Agnes. Agnes, what is impact? And how are you defining impact? I see your hand up. Okay, if Agnes cannot speak, can we go to Oluwaseun?
Okay.
Well, okay, Oluwaseun.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. For us at Impact we help small businesses, women that own small businesses, to retrain them on how to market their products and how to get their customer. We also guide them to get loans and also get some grants that they deserve based on their business output. So for we at Impact, we measure impact based on when the people we are helping are making headway. So I think at the end of the year, we celebrate people that have increased in their profits, the people that are expanding. And I know one of our projects was on we trying to help them to export their products to, you know, there's a growing population of African in some European countries currently. And one of our projects is how to teach them how they can export their goods, especially those in the agricultural areas, where they can export their goods to those countries. And we partner with organization, we partner with customs, we partner with and other stuff. So for us, impact is basically we touching each of the beneficiary of the program we are carrying out. Yes, there is donor money, donor want you to report numbers, but it's beyond the number, because if the number is not really being, the people that makes up the number, they are human beings, and they are not really getting what is meant for them, or they are not moving forward from the last place we met them, then the number we are reporting or the program we are carrying out are not really impactful. So that is how we measure impact. And that is why most of our impact measurements are mostly like visual. We just say, okay, record yourself and tell us what you have benefited from our organization. How does it impact you? So you are not just a number that we are reporting. We have a short video of you, anyhow you like it, with permission, that can really speak to that number.
Thank you very much. Just hold that thought. There are some very strong points that you mentioned, which I really like and want to just come back to as we go on into this session. So impact, like you have mentioned, Oluwaseun, that changes that occur on our beneficiary as a result of what? our activities. So now, sometimes we only look at impact from one prism, from one aspect. I'm hoping that at the end of today's training, you realize that impact can be positive and impact can be negative. And sometimes we are blindsided about the negative impacts that we are creating as a result of our intervention. So impact can be positive, can be negative, can be intended, direct and indirect. So I want us to have that broad view of impact and how your activities are changing or being experienced by people in your operations, your supply chain, your value chain, across your business relation. I mean, as a non-profit organization, you carry out everyday activities. In this sense, is business for that you are being established to carry out. So impact can be looked at in this way that you design your organization to achieve some goal in the normal world. Your goals should be the intended impact that you desire to have. But in actual fact, your activities and decision leads to positive, negative, direct, indirect, bad or good. So how do we have data that puts together all the unintended impacts or the negative impact and ensure that we reduce that and maximize the positive impact that we are making and creating real-term value to our beneficiaries. So this leads us to impact measurement and management. Then there are two words, right? Impact assessment is a great word. Encapsulated in it is impact measurement and impact management. Can somebody try? What's the difference between impact measurement and impact management? Yes, I'm going to call you now. See, your hand is up. Do you want to speak? Do you want to try? Particularly to those who do impact measurement and management in the organization. Let's see how you're defining this.
Hello, do I have the floor?
Oh, Tekena, thank you very much for putting that in. The impact is a measure of the depth of, thank you. Impact is a measure of the depth of change that an intervention makes in the lives of beneficiary. Thank you very much. I like that definition. We'll talk more about it in this trial. Great. I'm seeing another one. Measuring impact is a challenge since it can be associated to many other interventions. Yes, today's presentation will look at how you can identify what is attributable to your organization and what is not. Sometimes it's difficult to, articulate that, but we'll look at that today. Thank you very much. All right, so let's go to what impact measurement, the difference between measurements and management of impact. Great. So, yeah, let's jump to this slide. Now, impact measurement is quantifying. It's about numbers, gathering information, data that you can attribute to the actions or your intervention that you are carrying out. So you're measuring it. You established your matrix. You collect the data. You want to measure the changes that have occurred across your value chain, ultimately leading to the outcome that you want your beneficiaries to experience. As you're doing that, you are tracking the progress. What has occurred? What has changed? And impact measurement and impact management talks about, after gathering all of this information, after gathering all of this data, what are the unintended, what are the negative impacts that have occurred as a result of my intervention? How do I reduce that? Or how do I now make the right decision to maximize the positive changes that are occurring in my stakeholders? How do I deploy resources towards scaling the impact? So you get this information, you get your insight. That insight should drive your organization to deploy resources in a way that would help you scale. I know that many of us here report to our funders, our donors. One of the things they want to see is how their funds are making differences in their stakeholders or in your stakeholders, right? With impact measurement, you're measuring and also managing it, you are able to provide insights on how you're contributing or mitigating risk in a way to maximize your impact. I can see a hand, Abubakar Abdulaziz. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really love the way you explained it. So, but I think I've gained a particular insight that I want to share. Basically, it's more like your data. You understand the data you get is the end result of impact measurement, and your data is the beginning of impact management, right? I think it's a very nice concept, and I think the map you put on the PowerPoint actually shows it. Like impact measurement is going backward, like you're trying to backtrack your activity, you're trying to measure all the activities you've done in the past, and then impact management is moving forward, like you're trying to use your data to actually manage and improve your impact. And one of the system I think we use for impact management is having an ESMS system on ground. We call it environmental and social management system. There, it's more like a framework you have where you have feedback loops, you have complaints, you have gender inclusion, you have child. I think it's exhaustive. I just love what the explanation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abubakar, for that input. Yes, we can use technology, CRMs to translate data. And data is not, I mean, one of the things I think we do is we just get data and not able to use that data to inform decisions. But impact measurement and management must be precise that you get data, you're able to translate it to help you make informed decisions. Thanks for a very great input on ESM system. All right, running quickly. It's important that we start being more intentional about, how we gather information, the regulation and policy framework. How many of you heard about the ISSB, the International Sustainability Standard? IFRS launched 2 disclosures under ISSB. Nigeria has signed up to set up regulation on impact measurement and management under the ISSB to be reported. It's important that entities start coming up to adopt it, because by 2030, every entity will do that. So government regulation is driving it, demand from funders, donors, they want, businesses, they want NGOs to be more intentional about providing data that can even help them as well. And then your stakeholders too are also demanding, what are you doing with this money from Shell Foundation? What are you doing this money from Spark Foundation? They gave you this money, and they're putting demands on you. So this is what is driving some of the demands for you to incorporate IMM into your internal framework and report your impact. And then it just makes you as an NGO more competitive. Ogochukwu had said earlier on that for you to even get grants, most times it's what you put together. The background work starts with having a strong IMM system. So these are some benefits. I'm not going to go through them. You as a nonprofit organization can use as a strategic differentiation tool to put yourself apart from other nonprofit organizations by having a strong IMM framework. So now let's move from measuring efforts to impact. You recall I mentioned earlier on that some of us have been doing this wrongly, and I'll just dive into it. I adapted this particular slide from a training for for-profits who are using IMM. And we had differentiated enterprise, environmental, social, and governance framework that reports efforts and activities rather than outcomes, right? So for nonprofit organization, sometimes this is the mistake we make. We sometimes base our reports on changes that occur at input level, activity level, and even sometimes output level, right? So these changes at that level, but we are not looking at the long-term change that will occur on the beneficiaries of our intervention. So let's take a look at this example. Now, at program level, at input level, we have a number of participants that were invited to participate in a program. That's at input level. That's an example of a training, by the way. So the activity that takes place is a training. So you provide training for 1 million students, take for instance. That's a great effort. Out of that, okay, so you provide training for people in the community, right? And the output is that from, let's say, the 10 million people that registered, only 1 million people participated in the training, and you measure that at that level and you stop. That is not an impact report. You've just presented to us your activity, your efforts in training these students. Outcome or the impact speaks to the changes that have occurred to the beneficiary at various levels. At the outcome level, what skills have been acquired as a result of the training that you provided? That's one level. Now, at threshold level, you establish what skill was lacking from this participant at the start of the program and what skills were acquired at the time the program was done. So you establish the threshold. And at threshold level, was it achieved? At baseline, you want to establish the level of where the intervention started from and what has changed. The skill speaks to the number of people that participated. That, like our colleague here had put in the chat, the degree of improvement or the degree of change. Are they able to go back and utilize the skills in making changes in their various quarters when they go back? So this is how I want us to approach impact at the outcome level, whether at scale or depth, and move away from just efforts. I coined this theory of change because it all starts with us developing a clear theory of change that speaks to what do we want to address. So this theory of change is Alethea IDF theory of change. They are a gender lens fund. And it's so easy, one of the simplest. There's so many kinds of theory of change, complicated one, but this is easy to speak to. So for this particular class, I lifted it to establish the point around impact. So it starts with identifying, the structural problem that you're trying to solve with your intervention, your NGO, identifying what the challenges are at the next level. For in this example here, we say lack of capital to female entrepreneurs, and gender pay gap, lack of biodiversity at board management, etc. Now, it also identifies what sector are these challenges being experienced. So narrowing their intervention to key sectors: agribusinesses, health, finance, and education, and consumer goods and services. So at input level, IAF is providing equity investment, technical assistance, network governance, scale-up. For your organization, your inputs can be your resources, can be your staff, finances. For farmers, it can be, all those inputs that they need, to produce a yield. Then it goes on to outputs. What should happen as a result of the intervention? Jobs should be created, investments in women at, more women in management position, creation of revenue, income for the stakeholders, more diverse products and services. But what has occurred as a result of these activities or this outputs? Increased access to capital for women-owned MSMEs, increased number of women in management. And at the end, the impact should be gender equality, economic, sorry, my my screen is so it should be gender equality and increasing economic potential and GDP is what the long-term impact that should happen as a result of the intervention. Mark you, impact, this cannot only be attributed to this particular intervention. Other factors may come along, but for you as an organization, you can measure what is attributable to you when you follow this process. Let me pause there and see if there's any other comments, contribution, insights from everyone here.
Okay, we have a question from Samira.
Okay.
And she's asking if there is a toolkit for measuring impacts and if organizations can create their own toolkits.
Thank you very much, Samira. There are two. UNDP designed one called the SDG Impact Standard for enterprise, and that's what I will look at today. Organizations can also devise theirs, but there are already existing tools, that you can take advantage of without recreating the wheel. But what we are trying to do here is how do we gather data to provide you with insights for options to help you make decisions to maximize your impact. It's what I think the conversation we're trying to achieve here today. And once you're able to gather all of this information, you can now use any of the reporting tools, global recognized tool to report your impact. There's the GRI, there's the ISSB, several of them. All right, I think looking at time, we'll just quickly run because we have a lot to do. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box and we'll continue. Okay, so why is this important? So many activities are being done. There's so many NGOs, so many interventions, and they have the appellage that we are achieving SDGs, with our intervention. However, we are seeing a slow progress in attaining sustainability and in achieving the SDGs. Some countries more than others. So it's important that we are more intentional, not in tagging activities. Your organizations here, you achieve SDG 1, 2, and 3, 5, 8, and 9. But how are you incorporating the SDG and impact into your internal decision-making processes to enable you achieve them? So some of the risks, shortcomings, of IMM, sometimes we do not have data, not complete data, and it helps us to report in a way that is not usable, cannot be relied on. We focus more, like we said, on efforts than on outcomes, right? And sometimes people do it, NGOs too are also corporate. You do your work because you have a mandate from your funders and not with the intention of actually creating this change. So you're more transactional than intentional about making a change. So, these are some of the shortcomings that we see around IMM. Sometimes we set ambitious goals and we are not able to meet those goals. There's a confusion or conflation between, different terms used in achieving impact, all of those kind of conversation. And then reporting, there are various tools in reporting, different requirements. With all of this, sorry, there's a background noise. Can we all be muted? If you're not speaking, thank you. All right. So going back to Samira's question on tools, if your organization can use tools, yes, the organization can design their own tools. Today, the tool we are going to look at that should help us gather data for more insightful decision-making when it comes to IMM is the SDG Impact Standards. And the UNDP designed 4 kinds of standards. one for enterprises, which NGOs can use, one for bond issuers, SDG impact standards for private equity funds, those are your private equity investors, and one for the OECD and UNDP impact organization. These are for DFI, Development Finance Institution. And the strategy is to enable us to move from the behavior of just reporting impact to actually achieving impact internally through decision-making processes. So at the heart of the SDG impact standard is the strategy. So if you have the wrong strategy as a foundation in achieving the SDG or making impact, then you will not. So armed with the right strategy, you want to have support from the management to enable you implement the strategy that has been designed and approved by the governing board, and then identifying the right kind of reporting tool to help you report for transparency and governance. So the UNDP SDG impact standard is entrenched in various tools or can be used with various international recognized tools, from high-level principles such as the operating principle of impact management, the UNGC principles of integrated SDG investments, social values international, etc. To decision-making frameworks, there are several decision-making frameworks that the SDG impact standard incorporates. So if you use the SDG impact standard, you will comply with the UN guiding principles for business and human rights. You will comply with the 10 principles of UN global impact. For those who are gender in focus, you will comply with UN women empowerment principle and even the UN sustainable development goals, etc. Then tools that are being supported that you can use to measure and benchmark, the changes that are occurring in a credible way to your beneficiary is also in compliance with, taxonomies like the IRIS Plus system. If you've used the IRIS Plus, please put yes on the chat box. IRIS Plus is a fantastic tool that can help you identify what kind of metrics to use to measure changes, across your value chain. Very easy to use, and you can get it on the GIIN website, Global Impact Investor Network website. IRIS tool, very good. Anyone can use it. Those kind of frameworks are quite helpful. And finally, once you have all your data, you need to disclose your data in a credible way to all your stakeholders. Then you can use any of the reporting frameworks, sustainable development goal disclosure recommendations. There's the reporting frameworks, there's the GRI, there's the integrated reporting framework, etc. But like I said, today's class is not, about doing all of those frameworks, because it will take a lot of time for you to, there's so much you can do in 45 minutes, but just to let you know what is out there and how to make informed decisions to to measure and manage your impact, and then choosing the right, reporting tool to help you report. So there are a plethora of various frameworks depending on your goal as an organization. For those who want to disclose your social and your impacts, let's just put it that way, there are principles of practice that you can use. There's the IFC principles, there's the GIN principle I made reference to. For management, internal management decision making, there's the SDG impact, which we'll take a look at. There's a social value international, which is so great for those who want to value the impact that they are making. Under metrics and taxonomies, recall I mentioned the IRIS Plus, very easy to use as the GRI. Under reporting, I find GRI very easy to use, but now there's the ISSB. The ISSB is an International Sustainability Standard Board, which was launched by the International Financial Reporting Standard. They designed this ISSB, which has amalgamated all of these things together. So they have different disclosures, different requirements for different items. If you're going to report on climate, your CO2 emission, it will give you a prescription of which of the tools to use. So it is a potpourri of all of this gamut of different sustainability frameworks. So bear with me, let me arrange my slides in a way that I can see better. Yeah, thank you. So not to just dwell so much on this, it's just that we're using these standards, we are able to put sustainability at the heart of our business, our strategy, decision-making. We're able to address sustainable development risks and opportunities, identify them and address them. It's also be helpful for us to understand, how to undertake self-assessment and gap analysis through the SDG Impact Standard, or you can do one, for your organization to know where we are, and we'll be looking at that as we go along. So this SDG Impact Standard, I won't waste so much time on it. I will focus only on the strategy side, actions that we can take away from this class and go on and start practicing it, which starts with committing. So let's take a look at the 12 SDG Impact Enterprise Action of the SDG Impact Standard for enterprises, for non-profit, for people who are providing solution and getting rewarded for that service, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, whether it's an intervention as a non-profit you're doing. These are the 12 steps that, or let's say 12 actions that you can take to enable you incorporate impacts and SDG into your organization. It will also help you identify data points that you can gather to make decisions to manage your impact that you're making. So there are 12 of them. I will run through the 12 of them, but for the purpose of this class, I will focus only on the first 5 and leave you to make some changes that will help you improving your IMM almost immediately. So the first step is committing to operating sustainably. Everyone here, every NGO here has already committed to a course, right? Is it written? It must be written. And it must contribute to the SDG. The next is understanding the value of what is material to you, to your intervention. And materiality is from a standpoint of your beneficiary. So sometimes we come up with this lofty, great idea. I'm going to go to this community and provide water, for instance. Take, for instance, the famous water aid intervention where some individuals went to a community and provided water and nobody used that water. And what happened? They went back to ask, why is no one using this water? And they said, we didn't ask for water. Water is not our problem. So the first thing you need to understand is you need to map out what is material in terms of impact from the perspective of your stakeholder. So you must do a massive stakeholder engagement. Then the next, okay, Victoria, I can hear your voice. Do you want to contribute? All right, the next is integrating. Now you have collected information of what is material from the standpoint of your stakeholder. You want to integrate it into your organization purpose and strategy. Then you want to, as an organization, set ambitious goals. And this is so important. I'm looking through the process of setting goals, start with establishing baseline threshold targets, and then reporting if you have achieved your targets, what were the challenges, what learnings did we get, and how do we go back, takes us to the next point in terms of adjusting to ensure that our strategy and goals are optimized to meet impact. Then 6 speaks to aligning. This is now 6 is under management approach. So this is what the management system that must be put in place to enable the culture, structure, to align with the organizational purpose and strategy. Oftentimes, there's a misalignment with our commitments, what we committed to do at first. We do not have the resources to enable us implement our goals, and strategy. So this process helps us to take an inventory of what structures we have, from resources, from culture that has been set by the leadership, what structure and form, skill sets, human resource, to help us translate our commitments into impact. 7 talks about developing an IMM framework, and we are in the process of doing that, and integrating that framework into the management decision-making process to enable you achieve number 1 that we set out to do from the beginning. Enterprise Action 6 speaks to continuous learning, continuous improvement. I like what one of our colleagues said here today. It's not about just getting data, right? It's not just about measuring, not just about assessing. It's about making sure that we are able to manage, we're able to improve, so continuous improvement. So that's 9 is a feedback loop. 10 speaks to disclosure. 11, now integrating sustainably and managing impact into your governance framework. Sometimes, I mean, most times this is more, it goes above the pay grade of the management staff. It comes from the leadership, right? 11 and 12 is from the leadership, right? How is the governance framework designed? Is it designed in a way to help you achieve your objective as a nonprofit? 12 speaks to the governing council, which is your board of trustees, must lead by example. If they have set a culture to enable you to achieve the SDG, to enable you provide more impact, they must also be true to providing that support that you as a nonprofit have been established to do. This is a tool, it will be a very helpful tool for anyone who would want to try out the SDG impact standard. It's a self-assessment tool that helps you identify where you are. It has all the 12 actions. It's a tool in Excel. It requires every department in your organization to provide input, to give you insights of what you need to do. It's in Excel. I'll share that with the team here. If it's something you want to try your hands on, please go ahead, try your hands on. If you are struggling, we'll be on hand to provide you support to enable you use the SDG Impact tool. So this, recall that we talked about the 12 enterprise action. The first we said is to commit. So I mentioned that we're only going to do just 5 of them because of time. We don't want to spend the whole day going through the 12 enterprise, but with this, you can build upon going forward. We talked about commit, that if you want to embed sustainability and the SDG into your internal decision-making purpose, it starts with, having documents that shows that this organization has committed to achieving or contributing positively to the SDG. So it is not just how you do things, it's how all things ought to be done. And it's important that for you as a nonprofit organization, you stay true to the objective of what you have been asked to, or what you have agreed to do for your stakeholders. Sometimes there's that mission drift, which I understand happens as a result of, chasing funds. But like we always say, not all funds, not all donors are good donors, not all funds are good funds. I understand, but some of them makes us to be misaligned to our, goals as non-profit organization. So the first thing you want to do is using this framework. Is that noise from me or from somebody else? Please, can we confirm?
No, we're trying to fix it, ma'am.
Okay. So this is a tool that can help you to start putting together your goals. Okay, no, I'll come back to this. This is a stakeholder. I'll come back to this. We will, in our example today, or in our exercise today, I'll show you the slides that you can use to start designing your internal strategy, particularly in making a change towards, achieving the SDG. This is the wrong slide. I beg your pardon. We'll come back to this particular slide. So let's just quickly go to the next slide. So the next is understand. We talked about understanding what is material to your stakeholders, and we're doing it from the perspective of who is benefiting from you, and not how you think your stakeholder must, appreciate the inputs or your activities that you are contributing towards them. So what are some of the activities that should be carried out in the second step? Simple research, finding out, asking questions, from your stakeholder, developing stakeholder priority matrices, understanding what their interest is, and incorporating that into your internal decision-making process. So stakeholders are broad, right? And each organization here has their own stakeholder that span from customers, beneficiaries, employees, the local community, suppliers, etc. Right? And then you want to even maybe break the stakeholders to understand the demography, the stakeholder, because each stakeholder demography has, their own needs. People from different background, geographies, sex, gender, income, age, they all have different things. So while you are collecting or mapping out your stakeholder, you have to understand, how each of the needs of this bracket of your stakeholders, right? So this is an exercise that most of you, I'm sure, have already done this. Maybe in the chat, let me know who has been doing or who has been involved in stakeholder mapping. Has anyone been involved in stakeholder mapping here? So that I don't just speak to it, it would be good to just tell us, so we can run through this slide. Who's done? Okay. Does anybody want to contribute? Who has done stakeholder mapping here before? Or who is new to stakeholder mapping? Who is? By show of hands, so that I know how to continue this conversation. By show of who is new to stakeholder mapping? Okay, you are new. Akim Mayowa. I see another hand. Akim Mayowa. I see, okay. But who is not new to stakeholder mapping? Can you unmute and tell us how you do your stakeholder mapping? Who is not new? Okay, so I see some of you are new to stakeholder mapping, right? But do you understand the reason why we must do stakeholder mapping? Can you unmute? Okay, Ifeoma, you're new to stakeholder mapping. Okay, I see Osezwa, Ogogo, you've done some before. All right, do you want to unmute and tell us, your experience in mapping stakeholders and what insights did you get? Or what was the outcome or output of that activity? Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So the idea of stakeholder mapping is to understand who your stakeholders are, identify them, disaggregate them into maybe gender, sex, geography, and just understand that demographic so you can gather information to give you insight of how important your intervention is to them, right? So the first thing you want to do is to list out all your stakeholders. Then next is to describe what changes for each, what changes has occurred or they would like to occur or they would like to see occur as a result of your intervention. So you now know that, okay, for this category of stakeholder, this is what they want to be achieved from my intervention. And you now know, by gathering this information, you design an intervention based on what is important or based on what is material to them. And now it also helps you in terms of your reporting, when you're reporting back to your stakeholder, you're reporting to them what has occurred, right? And if you want to measure changes that has occurred as a result of your intervention, you're going back to them, asking them what has changed, how much of it has occurred, which change matters to you. So these are some of the ways you can engage your stakeholders. So stakeholder engagement is one very important part of IMM that you cannot avoid in the NGO space. If you're working in NGO, you need to have strong skills in engaging with stakeholders. So using this tool will help you gather information on how to, define what is material to your stakeholder. Look at stakeholder group. Will we measure social value created in 2020? This is just to help you gather information. Issues of interest, relevant stakeholder groups, significant stakeholder groups, what is material to them, on and on. So this is an example of a completed stakeholder matrix. We got that from an example from an organization called FRC Group for an intervention of training, training that they carried out in 2021. So with this, they were able to know what changes had occurred from the stakeholders. So this just is a framework you can use engaging with stakeholders, and stakeholder engagement is not a one-time engagement. It is a continuous engagement, not a one-time engagement. This is an example. There are various ways we can engage with the stakeholders. We can use a survey, simple survey. We can use focus group discussion, as we see here. Interview, one-on-one interview, and all. So this is just focusing more on stakeholders. So let's quickly run to the next action, which is action 3. Integrate. So recall that we have collected all this important information from our stakeholders. We now know what is important to them. We now know their interests. We are now able to establish our threshold based on what intervention or where we should be reaching, or what is the minimal acceptable change that should occur from intervention from them. We now want to integrate that into our purpose and strategy. So what do we do here? Sorry, I'm trying to. So first, recall that we set out a mission in the beginning. We spoke to stakeholders. Now we want to align that our initial vision. What we said we will do, is it in alignment with what we hear our stakeholders say? So action point 3 helps us to reflect, to align what we wanted to do, our mission and vision, and what we are going to do as an intervention. So we are assessing, we are understanding, the various risks that will come up from our intervention if we are excluding our the voices of our stakeholders. What is material to them? It's likely that we may not be able to achieve in Okay, so now we are transiting from Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Now we can hear you.
If you can hear me, let me. Awesome, awesome. So we'll just quickly run.
Okay, all right. How much more time do you need, ma'am? Okay, I think our
Because
speaker
of time, please
is back now.
bear with me. Let's just quickly run to some. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hear me?
Your network
Can
is
you
a
hear me
bit
now?
wonky.
Okay. I apologize. Okay, now on the chat, or if you can unmute yourself, let's discuss your vision as an organization. Who can share with us your internal mission? And let's discuss that. Osezwa, Abubakar is not allowed to unmute. Can the host allow people to please unmute? Is that okay?
Okay, we can take one or two persons because of time.
Okay, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's go with Osezua. Osezua, are you there?
Please use the raise hand feature so that, yeah, we can allow you to unmute.
Yes. Can Osezua speak?
He may be having network issues. I think he should just be still ahead.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I just wanted to just allow us just sit back and think about our vision and mission statements of our organization. I know all of us have mission and vision statements. How is that allowing us to achieve the SDGs? Can we have that practical conversation? I worked in a nonprofit organization a few years ago. We had a very robust mission statement, but in terms of practice, we were not achieving it. And we were not getting the kind of, which didn't allow us to gather the right data to meet the right impact. I wanted to just get some insight from one person who can speak to how you crafted your vision and mission. How are you implementing it? Can anyone please go?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Shamsuddin, thank you.
My name is Bokar Abdulaziz, though I didn't, I'm the research associate at Extension Africa. So I think the birth of our mission and vision is basically from a looming problem in the agricultural extension space. We're looking at, okay, there was a problem of high extension agent to farmer ratio, where we have one extension agent to 1,000 or 15,000 farmers. It's just like having a teacher in a class of 15,000 students. And that has really, plummeted the quality of agricultural extension service and indirectly agricultural productivity. So Extension Africa decided to come in and solve this problem. Those bringing that is to enhance agricultural productivity and profitability by establishing a reliable agribusiness extension system for African farmers and value chain actors. So the mission came from is a genesis of trying to provide a solution to an existing problem. So our vision was now crafted based on how do we now achieve that mission? How do we implement that solution? So our vision now came to being that is to be the extension service provider of immediate choice for African farmers. So I think that was how the birth of our mission and vision came through. And I think we normally hold a normal review session every quarter where we try to see how our activities align with our vision. If our activities aligns with our vision, we are indirectly or inadvertently achieving our mission. That is to try to see how we can reduce the number of extension to farmer extension agent to farmer ratio and solve the problem of agricultural productivity.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Very robust statement. So now, just give me insights in terms of how do you collect data from your stakeholders? What ways have that been able to help you shape how you are achieving your impact?
Basically, our major stakeholders, or let me say, when we talk about stakeholder, our stakeholder, I will call them major because those are the people that are faced by the problem. Our major stakeholders are the farmers and then the youth. So our major stakeholders, how we collect data from them is we have a platform where we profile farmers. We profile them in terms of their age, their gender, the number of hectares of land they have. You understand? Just their basic demographics and their agricultural productivity. I think every single month. So and those people that collect these agents are our private extension agents. So we also collect data using a Farmex app or sometimes Kobo Toolbox. We collect data from them, and when these data are being collected, we analyze this data, and then it helps us to make data-driven decision and see if actually we have achieved our vision. I think our mission and vision statement has been changed now. We have a new mission, and this mission and vision statement is a new one. We had an old one, so I think as a result, it was as a result of constantly, trying to analyze the data that have been collected from farmers, that have been collected from agents, then we're able to restructure our mission and vision. And when we have these reports, it's basically majorly they are sometimes project based from stakeholders like Messi, Core, Agra, and the rest. So when we submit report to them, their recommendation based on our report, their inputs based on our report we send to them, helps us to see if actually our activities is trying to meet up with the vision and mission. And I think that is the reason for the change. At some point, we thought our activities are not really achieving what we set out for, and then we changed it. Yeah, basically that is it.
I like your points. Very important, very insightful. You had a mission vision prior, and then engaging robustly with your stakeholders, you now are able to now change based on information and recommendation that came from that report. I think it's something that we have to do as non-profit organization, engage robustly with stakeholders in understanding what kind of changes that should occur. Because of time, we'll just go to setting goals and we'll run quickly through setting goals. I will leverage a lot on what the last speaker has said, Abubakar. It's so important for us to set ambitious goals, but it starts with us doing something, knowing the difference between a goal and target. A goal is to get the ball to the net, using this analogy. Target is specifically the aim, what we aim to do, the direction where it should end up in. Like we have the SDGs, right? We have SDG 1, take for instance, the goal is to end poverty in all forms. The target tells us specifically how this can occur. So we need to go back as non-profits and start asking ourselves, if we don't do this thing rightly, we will not be able to report the changes that occur and likely elude funding from donors will really elude us. I'm not going to go straight, deep into all of this. This slide to be shared with anyone. I'm going to use this analogy to just help us understand why it's important to create goals. First and foremost, we need to we've engaged with stakeholders. We know what is material to them. We've asked them what is the minimum threshold that should happen or the change that should occur as a result of our intervention. Threshold can be defined by stakeholders. It can be defined by law. It can be defined by regulation. It can be defined by the society. But this is, for instance, let me use gender as an example. The Beijing conference, the National Policy on Women, recommends the representation of 33.3% of women across all value chain, whether in government representation. So that's the threshold for most organizations. There's a 2X challenge that also has like 30% women representation in management, governance, or whatever. Now you want to set your own goal. Your goal can be 50%. So for your intervention, you want to ensure that anything less than 30% is negative. It's not, you don't want to. So establish your baseline. Your baseline at this point in time can be that for women across my value chain, there are only 10% representation. So that baseline has been established. The threshold that has been set by policy regulation is 30%. But you as an NGO, you're setting 50% for yourself, which is ambitious, which is possible, right? Anything less than 30% is negative. Anything above 50% is positive. But if you get 40%, it's above threshold, but it is still not at the ambitious goals you have set for yourself. I wanted to just use that analogy to explain, this. So looking at this, we have here your value chain from raw material, suppliers, inbound, etc. Let's use this as our threshold. Minimum negative impact. We want to minimize, recall, we are trying to manage, we want to minimize negative impact. We want to maximize positive impact. SDG 8, group of employees paid below minimum. We want to increase that. We want to look at SDG 12, high demand for apparel, but too many resources across your value chain. So what you want to do now is to provide living wage to all workers, thereby achieving SDG 8. The goal under products and life, you want to produce apparel based on recycled material, achieving SDG 12. For your unsafe work environment, if that's where you are, you want to reduce or to provide a safe working environment for your workers to reduce the safety risk that can occur as a result of your intervention. So establishing impact goal looks at it from a point of establishing baseline threshold of what activities you wish to maximize and what you wish to minimize, and then reporting them. So these are just some more work for us to understand in terms of establishing goals. I see a hand up. Let me pause and take that hand before I quickly run to the exercise if there's time. Otherwise, we will leave it as this.
All right, we have
question
to have a hard stop in 7 minutes. Are we able to contain that?
Okay, let's just have that. Let's have that question, and then I will run to the conclusion. Dike.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ma.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the explanation. I always ask this question. Okay. Dike Clement from African Community Development Center. We work to improve the amount of young people in digital literacy. So my question is, how do you determine percentage increase? For instance, maybe comparing two scenarios, the control and the actual, in terms of target population. Maybe you say, I want to provide digital literacy for 200 people in Kogo, Abuja. Now, when you are doing your reports, the impact, how do you determine the percentage increase? Is it the percentage increase has to do with the number of people that participated or the target population? For instance, if the population is, say, 5,000 people that live in a particular city, or how do you measure it? Do you use the population as a whole or the control experiment that is the pool I intervening for to determine the increase of number of people that have improved in digital literacy? So I just need a little bit explanation about it because it's very tricky. When you say percentage increase, the number of people, all those things are sometimes very, very tricky.
Yes, please don't go anywhere. I'd like to ask some more questions to you, but first and foremost, there are different ways of answering that question or approaching that. you mentioned you want to have a control group, right? And you want to measure the change that has occurred as a result of this digital literacy that you have provided from them. You want to compare them with a group of another group who haven't been able to achieve or enter this training program, and see if they're able to perform a certain kind of task. And then you can know that this change has occurred as a result of your intervention. So it's first establishing what literacy gap do they have, what skills are they not able to do before the intervention, and have they been able to achieve that intervention? Have they been able to acquire that skills and carry out a certain task that they couldn't do prior? There are different ways of doing it, but in terms of this digital literacy, is establishing what do you want to achieve with this digital training, right? And carrying out initial assessment before the training. So when you carry out that initial assessment, then you want to have post-training assessment to share the immediate outcome, the output that has changed as a result of that. Then the impact will be, have they been able to get a job from that training? If they've been able to get a job, be gainfully employed, that's a long term. It's tricky, but I will just advise that you do a very simple method of looking at the output activity, what skills have changed, have they acquired immediately after the training, and then possibly follow on up to see if any change has occurred, maybe employment, they've gotten employment, increase in income as a result of the training, better jobs, and such matrices must be established before the training goes along. Then in terms of comparing it with national average is another example. Right now, you want to know the national average of digital literacy in Nigeria, and you're looking at a closed community. What is the percentage, inputs that you as an organization has, contributed towards reducing that literacy? That's another way of measuring it against national average. So there are different ways to look at it. I don't know if that answers your question. We can take this on offline, and then we can look at it. I think this threshold kind of establishes, where what we want to do, the intervention we want to have, starting from the baseline, we talked about it, and the endpoints where you want to go, the changes that has occurred as a result of your intervention. I'll end today's presentation by sharing this slide with the organizers, asking you to please take a look at it, ask some questions so that we can respond to those questions. I'll share some of the tools that you can use to enable you to start measuring your impact. And if there's any other thing you would like to share with us or any other thing we need to know of intervention, we'll be happy to share information. But I want to just quickly run through some resources that you can go online to use. Let me go quickly to that resource. Bear with me 1 second. So there's the SDG IMM training organized by the UNDP, delivered by Duke University on Coursera. It's a course I would like anyone working in the nonprofit space to please apply. It's free. Go there to improve your skills in impact measurement and management, particularly if you like to add the SDGs. There are other tools, technical guide, as in achieving the SDG and improving your IMM. The GRI framework, if you want to help you in terms of reporting. Please also, there's the ISSB tool, which I also want you guys to get acquainted for in terms of reporting. The SDG impact standard will be shared with you. These are all the different frameworks that you can use as a business to incorporate, or as a nonprofit to incorporate, to ensure that you are achieving the SDGs. Social Values International, it has 8 principles that you can take a look at that would help you, to involve your stakeholders in impact measurement and management. So this is the end. I would like to end here. There's a lot to go through. I hope that this session has been quite helpful. Thank you very much for your time, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Etemore Glover. This has been quite, I couldn't stop writing and taking notes. I need you to drop an emoji in that box about how you feel right now. How do you feel about this session? I think we should have a part 2 of this session, because really you cannot cover much, in just 45 minutes, or not even in an hour. I want to say a very big thank you to you once again. We had a question in the room. We won't be able to take too much. Many questions because of time, and we know that you run a busy schedule as well. There was someone who was asking about, if you do an intervention, a borehole intervention, how do you measure the impact if you're not able to take head counts of the community? I suppose this can also work for a couple of other interventions that may be difficult to measure their impact. So how would you respond to that?
Thank you very much for asking that question. The first thing I would like to ask, what was your intention in digging that borehole? What did you want to achieve with that? Say, for instance, you're trying to reduce cholera, or some kind of, access to or improving sanitary health, right? In that community, access to water, health, and sanitation is your goal. You want to ask, what is the current rate of maybe incidents in a certain kind of waterborne sickness in that? As a result of your borehole creation, has that reduced? But you recall, impact is both qualitative and quantitative. So let's not only just get hooked on the numbers, right? You also want to find out the livelihood, the quality of life that has changed, from the beneficiary, which means you want to go ask them, maybe the number of hours you used to spend in going to the stream to fetch water was like 5 hours, 3 hours. Has that reduced? And how has that impacted on your quality of life? You have more time with the children. You have cleaner water to cook healthier meal. You're healthier. So you need to decide the matrix, right? And know how to collect the data, who to collect the data, what change has occurred. So I would just step back a little bit to ask you, why did you create that borehole? And then speaking to the community to get the impact, and then putting the numbers as you engage with them. I don't know if that was helpful. If it was in the chat, please put it in there. So
Thank you very much for that. I think the summary I can also make from this is that, whatever you are doing, you should think beyond the numbers and look at quality of life. And like you have rightly mentioned, at baseline, before the start of your intervention, what was, perhaps maybe disease-like? And then after your intervention, what is it looking like now? Is there a reduction? Is there an improvement in the quality of lives of your beneficiaries? All right. Okay. I think that at this point, I would like to round up. Before we say thank you to our very, very distinguished speaker, I would like to let you know that our nonprofit guidebooks, the ones that we published on starting, operating, sustaining, and measuring nonprofits, is still on Amazon, and very soon it'll be coming on Seller, so you'll be able to access it. Our podcast is also streaming live on Spotify, on Amazon, on Apple Podcasts, and your popular podcast. Come 10th of October, our breakfast dialogue will be coming up. This is the conference where we, bring leaders in the social sector, the public sector, the private sector, where we bring them together to come and talk about the changes, the challenges that Africa is facing, and what is the way forward. So the one for this year will be coming up on the 10th of October. Please follow us on our social media platforms to register when it is time. Now, to say thank you and to close us, I will bring up our finance manager, Mr. Agogo Erafotopo. Over to you, Mr. Agogo. Are you speaking, Mr. Agogo? Are you speaking? I think you're muted. Hello, is Mr. Agogo there? He'll be muted.
I think you need to unmute him. He seems not to be able to unmute himself. Is there a yes?
All right, give us a second to do it. You can unmute yourself now. Please try again.
All right, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Abiodun. All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for finding time to join us in this very interesting session. We've short our time, but it was worth it. So we want to thank everybody who found time to join us once again. Thank you especially to our wonderful facilitator. Please promise us that you're going to come back again, because some of those things you were dropping, I don't think this time really did justice to that. You know, talking about all those reporting standards and everything. So we want to really thank you for, you know, answering our call. For all our participants that, you know, found time to join us, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We value your time. Thank you for always coming out when we call. We do this every time, right? So ACT Foundation, beyond just giving grant, we do as much as possible to build capacity within the sector. And, you know, a lot of time we have these kind of sessions before the end of the year. We are, you know, coming up with more. So watch out for information about the upcoming events. Visit our social media platforms. Go make our website your friend. There are a lot of information. Read our newsletters to get updated with informations such as this. So on behalf of the entire ACT Foundation family, management and staff, we want to thank you once again. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gogo. Remember, as you log out, you will see a survey will pop up. Please ensure that you fill it. It helps us to get better and better at what we do. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will share the recording and the presentation with you shortly.
Pictures.
Yes, yes. Before you leave, please, can we take pictures? You can just please turn on your camera so that we can have a view of your lovely faces. And in 1 minute, we'll be done with that. Just hold on a bit. Yes. Yeah, seeing some handsome and beautiful faces already. Okay, we'll be done in a couple of seconds. Just hold on a bit. A few more seconds. A few more seconds.
Trying to see how I can put my camera on.
Can you see me?
Wow, I'm not getting.
Not yet. All right. Okay, I'm told we are good now. So thank you very much once again. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember to fill our feedback. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's impossible. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for such an insightful time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you. Love from Zimbabwe.
Ah, that's great. Thank you from Zimbabwe. Precious.
Bye.
Bye.
Changemakers Innovation Challenge. The 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge aimed at empowering nonprofits, social enterprises, and businesses in Africa that leverage technology and digital tools to create social change within their communities. After careful assessment by a team of seasoned judges, 10 finalists emerged. At the 6th Breakfast Dialogue and 5th anniversary of ACT Foundation, 5 organizations emerged as winners.
Let's give it up for the 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge. Nafam Foods from Nigeria. Congratulations.
In the past year, with support received from ACT Foundation and our donor partners, Nafam Foods provided capacity training and technical support to 1,400 farmers in cottage processing across northern Nigeria. Mobi Clinic provided over 1,000 residents across communities in Uganda with remote health delivery services. Black Umbrella supported over 400 SMEs in South Africa through its virtual incubator initiative. In Nigeria, Dynalim Nigeria provided 3D integration of prosthetic and orthotic devices to over 100 persons living with disabilities in southwest Nigeria. And Health Emergency Initiative trained over 40 students in pre-medical emergency response.
I think the biggest success is being able to implement our new programs. We have been working on them for the last year, and the biggest thing was being able to digitize them and be able to continue that entrepreneurial journey that we started on a digital platform throughout. So Act Foundation has really allowed us to be able to do that, but also the platform then allows us to reach more beneficiaries.
The 2022 Changemakers Innovation Challenge Impact Story is hinged on the support received from our esteemed partners, including Access Bank, IHS Towers, an organization working to advance global communication and ensure seamless connectivity for millions, Lagos Business School, and Veraki.
With the help of Act Foundation making it to top 10 for the CIC challenge, and also with their collaborative partnership with Veraki Africa. So we've been able to understand how we would align our vision and mission to meet the work we do, and also in terms of structure in the organization, we've been able to, through their support in terms of capacity from what we've done so far, we've been able to practically align what we do and to tell better stories with what we do as well.
I think some of the supports that we've received from the Act Foundation, apart from the innovation challenge that we run for some of our innovations, also it includes the MPLM program, it's the Lagos Business School, which typically has been a mode of training and then improvement to build capacity of our staffs at the co-creation hub.
Since its inception, the Changemakers Innovation Challenge has helped dozens of organizations scale up impact using innovative solutions in various African communities. And we are not relenting as we commit to impact the continent one community at a time.